Good morning, students. Welcome to your geography class. I hope all of you are well. Today we will discuss lakes, roles of river in the economy and river pollution. As in your previous class we discussed about the river systems already. Today we will discuss another water bodies and how all these rivers and other water bodies are important in our economy and how we need to conserve them or why we need to conserve them. Okay, now lakes first we will discuss. Now, as it is mentioned here, you may be familiar with the Valley of Kashmir and famous Dal Lake and the houseboats. Okay, now there are so many famous lakes we have in our country. As it is mentioned here in your textbook that Kashmir Dal Lake, okay, is very famous because here we are having houseboats. If you have seen through social media, through news or YouTube videos, you have seen in Dal Lake we have so many houseboats. In according to local language, this is known as shikara. Okay, and these shikaras are attracting tourists. Okay, first of all, Dal Lake is a very famous spot for tourists in Kashmir. We have huge fresh water from it, as well as tourists are also attracted by the shikaras as well. Similarly, maybe you have visited some other tourist spot near lake and enjoyed boating, swimming and all. We know lakes or around the lakes area is always famous for its tourist spot. Okay, sometimes we go there for picnic or just traveling and all. Okay, surroundings of these lakes are very much natural. We can see various types of scenic beauties over there. So these type of scenic beauties around the lakes attracting tourists. Now Nainital and other tourist places did not have lake. Would they have been as attracted as they are today? Have you ever tried it? No. Okay, now we have seen that in Srinagar, in Kashmir we have lakes, but in other places like Nainital and all we don't have the lakes. So okay, so do lakes have any effect to attract tourists and all? Now it's totally depend upon the scenic beauties. Okay, lakes are adding, of course it will add some more scenic beauties to the nature. So of course lakes are attracting tourists. So if you see this one, lakes of large extent are called the sea. So extended version of lakes are only known as sea, like Caspian and the Dead and Aral Sea. So there is a difference between sea and ocean. When lakes are going to extend it a lot, having a huge amount of water and of course having salt water in it, is called as sea, like Caspian Sea, Dead Sea and Aral Seas. Now India has many lakes. In India we have freshwater lake as well as saltwater lake. Both types of lake is available in India, in different parts of India. Now India has many lakes. These differ from each another in size and their characteristics. Of course all the lakes are not having the same size, same amount of water, and of course they all are having different characteristics. Most of its lakes are permanent. Some contain water only during rainy season, like the lakes in the basin of inland drainage or in semi-arid region. So most of the lakes of India, as you know that India there is only few river systems are having perennial river system. Throughout the year they are having water, and peninsular rivers or non-pen rivers that they are having only rainy season they are carrying water. So the rivers, those who belongs to semi-arid region or they form in a non-perennial river, so automatically these lakes containing water only during monsoon or during rainy season only. Other time of the year they are not having full of water in it. There are some lakes which are the result of action of glaciers. Now as like we just discussed that there are some lakes which is having water only during monsoon or rainy season. Same way, there are some lakes which is having water throughout the year, as they are containing their water from glacier. Okay, so we have permanent lakes, and of course we have non-perennial lakes as well. Permanent lakes are having water throughout the year because they are containing water from the glaciers, and temporary lakes, like, they are not containing water throughout the year because they formed in a semi-arid region, or they are formed by non-perennial river. So they totally depend upon monsoon or rainy season. Now, how these lakes form? Now, these lakes form due to erosional activity. All the lakes formed due to erosional activity. Now, these erosional activity can be done by wind, glacier or river, or human activities as well. So the natural lakes, those who are made by like wind or river or by glacier, these are natural lakes. Of course, there are some lakes which is created by human beings. Okay, so a meandering river across a floodplain forms cuts of the later develops into Oxbow Lake. When we discuss about the features of the river, we discussed about the meander and we discussed about Oxbow Lakes. Now, as you know, Oxbow Lakes are made of when river, floodplain area, when rivers are in its lower course, it's doing its, or in middle course, it's doing its erosional and deposition activity at the same time. So it's cutting off a part of the river basin, and side by side there is depositional activity at the same time. So at inside of the river system or meander, when we have the depositional activity done by the river, it's create lake which is known as Oxbow Lakes. Now, speeds, bars from lagoons in the coastal areas, example like Chilika Lake, Pulicat Lake. So not only that Oxbow lakes are there, sometimes what happen, that due to formation of lagoons and or spits or bars, which is also features of rivers only, okay, which is also like at the same time when river is doing erosional and deposition activity, sometime due to the deposition activity of the river, it creates a lake. Okay, so due to meander or due to speed or bars from lagoons, in coastal regions we have some lakes which is known as Chilika Lake, like Chilika Lake, Pulicat Lake, Koilur Lake, etc. Now, if you see the map, some of the lakes are mentioned here. If you go from east, you can see Chilika Lake, then we have Koilur Lake, then we have Pulicat Lake, then Bhimbanath Lake, then here of course we have Sambar Lake, and of course we have this Ular Lake here, Dal Lake, Ular Lake in the extreme northern part of India. Okay, so as you can see, in of course there's only few lakes they mention in your map, we have more than this. So these are the lakes that we have throughout the country, and all these lakes are also important. Now, lakes in the region of the inland drainage are sometimes seasonal. For example, Sambar Lake in Rajasthan. As you know, Rajasthan is a arid region, or the western part of Rajasthan is an arid region and the eastern part is semi-arid region. So Sambar Lake in Rajasthan, which is seasonal only, during monsoon only they are having water, but this lake is having a different characteristics. Now, Sambar Lake in Rajasthan, which is a salt water lake, and its water is used for producing salt only. So Sambar Lake water we are not using for any agriculture purpose or daily life purposes. Sambar Lake, because it belongs to Rajasthan and it's seasonal, and this area is an arid region. Most of Rajasthan is arid or semi-arid region. So this soil, because of this area soil is containing salinity in it, so in this lake we are producing salt. So this lake is very famous for producing salt. As now, most of the fresh water So most of the freshwater lakes are in the Himalayan region. So most of the permanent as well as freshwater lake where we found na Himalayan region only. As we know, in Himalayan region what we have Himalayan mountain, and of course in Himalayan mountain what we have the glacier. So due to that glacier, so the lakes formed in this northern part of India or in Himalayan region is permanent first of all, and second, they all are freshwater lake. Now they are glacier origin. As you all know, in Himalayan mountain range we have the glacier. So automatically these lakes are permanent and of course getting water throughout the year. The inwards they formed when glacier dug out a basin. As we know, we have glacier is also moving. So when a glacier moves, the area is now empty. When the glacier moves, so it's dug out the area. Okay, when a huge glacier is moved from some place, it will of course having a landslide or it will dug out the area. So due to glacier activity, same like river, glaciers also having erosional and depositional activity. So due to the erosional activity of the glacier, this create lakes. Now the Uller Lake in Jammu Kashmir, its contrast is the result of the tectonic activity. So if you see the Uller Lake, of Kashmir is formed due to the tectonic activity, means plate tectonic activity. Okay, tectonic activity means plate tectonic activity. So the Uller Lake in Jammu and Kashmir in contrast is the result of plate tectonic activity. It is the largest freshwater lake in India. So Uller Lake is the largest freshwater lake in India because this lake is formed by the glacier. This lake first of all formed due to plate tectonic activity. Same way or for the same reason Himalayan mountain range formed. So the way or for the reason Himalayan mountain region formed, for the same reason Uller Lake is also formed. Now this Uller Lake is getting water from the glacier and it became the largest freshwater lake in India. Now the Dal Lake, not only Uller Lake is famous, also we have Dal Lake, Bhimtal, Nainital, Loktak, Barapani are some other important freshwater lake as well in the northern part of India. So there are so many lakes like Uller, Dal Lake, Bhimtal, Nainital, Loktak, Barapani. All these lakes are important lakes in north and they all are having freshwater lake. Now apart from these natural lakes, the damming of the rivers for the generation of hydel power has also led to the formation of lakes such as Guru Gobind Singh Lake, where we have Bhakra Nangal River project. Now as we have seen, the formation of lakes depend upon some natural forces like wind or river or glacier. Now not only we have these natural forces, we also have some human activities. Due to human activities as well, lakes form. Now example, now due to the damming of the river for getting hydroelectricity power, this formed lake known as Guru Gobind Sagar Lake, and on this lake we have the river project which is known as Bhakra Nangal River project. It's a very famous river project in Punjab, Bhakra Nangal River project, and from this river project there are so many places in Punjab and as well as Jammu Kashmir and nearby areas. It provides water as well as hydroelectricity. Now, lakes are having a great value to human beings, as these lakes helps to regulate the flow of the river during heavy rainfall and it prevents from flooding. If in between the flow of the river, if we have the lakes, so it will control the flow of the river, so there will be less chances of flood. And of course when we have the lakes, it will further provide us water supply. It helps maintain an even flow of water. Lakes also can use for developing hydroelectricity power. Of course, for hydel power as well, we can take help from these lakes as well. First of all, these all will prevent flooding, overflow of the water from the rivers. Second thing, it will help us to create hydel power. Okay, and of course it will maintain the aquatic ecosystem, enhance the natural beauty. So for so many reasons, lakes are very much important in human life. Okay, naturally and of course economically. Now the next important topic we have, roles of rivers in the economy. What is the role of river in our economic growth? Now rivers have been fundamentally important throughout the human history. From the beginning of the human civilization or human history, we have seen how rivers are important in our life, how river system we are using in our day-to-day life. So of course there is a fundamental importance throughout the human history we have seen. Now water from the rivers are basic natural source of water, essential for various human activities, for our daily life, in agriculture activities, in industrial activities, and of course for other sectors as well. We first and foremost require water, and these essential waters are coming from rivers only, which is very much important in our human activities or human life. Therefore, river banks have attracted shelters for ancient times. As you know, ancient time people started their settlement near the river bank area, because near river bank area it is easy to have the water, and near the river banks they are going to have most fertile soil, right? Having water easily for daily use as well as getting the fertile soil. So rivers for the settlement, rivers from the ancient time only, rivers are coming very important. Now using rivers for irrigation system, navigation, hydropower generation is a special significant. So not only for daily purposes, we also use river water for irrigation, which is used in agriculture, navigation of course for transport, then hydropower. Without electricity we can't do anything nowadays. So for creating hydropower as well, we required river, and these river systems are affecting humanity, population as well as economic growth. Okay, so rivers are playing an important role in our economic improvement. Now the last topic, as you can see, river pollution. So when we have some positivity, we also have to face some negativity as well. So nowadays river pollution or water pollution is a very important topic, because we know for 24 hours we required water, and each and every human beings, animals, every single living organism required water for their survival. But human beings are creating pollution in these rivers, and automatically it's creating a large number of water pollution, which is harmful for the whole environment. Now the growing of domestic, municipal, industrial and agriculture demand for water from various rivers naturally affect the quality of the water. So when constantly for various purposes we are using the rivers in different parts of the world, so it will also affect the quality of the water. Okay. As a result, more and more water is being drained out from rivers, reducing their volume. So when for different purposes through pipes, okay, we are collecting water for some activities, it's affecting the natural speed, natural flow of the river. First thing. Second thing is that now as we are taking all the water from this river, so it's reducing the volume of the river. So rivers are becoming drier. Okay, rivers are becoming drier. On the other hand, a heavy load of untreated sewage or waste and industrial effluents are impeded into the rivers. So, domestic waste, industrial waste, what we are doing? We are simply dumping into the river because it is the easy way to throw the waste. So, which is not good. Of course, these affect not only the quality of the water but also self-cleansing capacity of the river. As you know, we all are having some natural capacity to work or to maintain the quality, right? Same way, when constantly we are going to dump all the waste, domestic waste or industrial waste into the water, first of all it will reduce the quality. It will totally damage the river water quality. Second thing, it will reduce the self-cleaning capacity of the river because river also have a self-cleaning capacity. But when overburden is there on the river, so automatically it will reduce the self-cleansing capacity. Now, given adequate stream now, the Ganga water is able to dilute azimuthal pollution loads within 20 km of a large city, but the increasing urbanization and industrialization do not allow it to happen, and the pollution level of the many rivers is rising. So within the example of Ganga river, you can see Ganga river has the capacity to self-clean itself within 20 km of an urban area. This is the capacity of the Ganga river, as it's the longest river of the year, carrying huge amount of water. So Ganga river is having the capacity to clean the water itself within 20 km. But due to increment in urbanization and industrialization, what is happening now? We are dumping more amount of waste in Ganga. So you have seen through social media, through TV, through YouTube and all, you have seen now what is the scenario in Ganga river. Ganga river is becoming the most polluted river of the country. Why? Because Ganga river is flowing through so many states of India. It's flowing through so many cities as well. So people are dumping their waste into this river and converting this holy river into a polluted river, right? Ganga river is a holy river, we all know. But we are transforming this holy river into a waste dumping river only, which is not good for human. If constantly we are doing this, we are not going to control ourselves. One day we are not going to have fresh water. Right? Because rivers are the only one through which we are getting fresh water. If constantly we are going to dump our waste into this river, this will of course return us. It will of course return to us and we are not going to have a fresh water. So we need to think about life of human beings without fresh water. So when rivers are not going to provide us fresh water, we transferred the rivers into a dump waste drain, so automatically it's going to affect us, our life. We are not going to have fresh water for our daily use. Then of course we are not going to get fresh water for agriculture purpose or industrial purposes. So we need to think that if we want to continue this civilization and all, we need to first control the pollution. If we are not going to control river pollution or water pollution, it will affect each one of us. So we should think before doing it. So today we discussed about lakes of India, the varieties of lakes and the reason behind it. Then we discussed about the role of rivers in the economy, how rivers are important, and we discussed about the river pollution as well. So today we completed the whole chapter. Hopefully this video helps you to understand. Thank you students for watching today's video, and we will come with a new chapter in your next class. Thank you everyone.